Good morning students, welcome you all to the lecture video session on span of control and other elements of span of control, and what are the importance and what are the definitions of span of control. In the span of control, we will discuss about what should be the span of control for every authority. So in the picture what I am showing here, in the image what I am showing here, an IT manager has got three different engineers. One is a software engineer, second one is also a software engineer, and there is a test engineer who is going to test the product that is developed by the software engineers. So the IT manager's span of control is 3. Right. So the number of persons who are directly report to an executive is called as the span of control. So normally the span of control varies from 2 to 30 persons depending on the situation that the business enterprise has. Corporates will normally have geographically spread teams where the span of control could be more than 30 also. Or normally the span of control is kept within it will not be a wide span of control. Normally it is the number of persons who are going to be under one manager will be normally 2 to 30 persons. So the span of control of the manager is on the team of 2 to 30 persons. So what are the span of control, and what is exactly the span of control, and why what are the characteristics of the span of control? So when we decide about the span of control for every position, so we need to see the different factors. The factors that are very evident are time that is available to the manager to effectively control his subordinates, and also the time that is also needed to supervise and control. So there comes the factor of the time, and where exactly we are working, where is the place of the work. The place of the work is also going to be very evident for the span of control, because the communication network and the distance between each of the employee or the workplace of the superior and that of the subordinates also matters a lot. As I already mentioned the corporates may be having the geographical spread of the team. So it always matters a lot to have a manager who is going to work in one place and will be controlling the team who is working in the other place. It might be there might be different time, there might be different location, there might be different timings, the hour of workings might be different. So it always matters for a manager to have the span of control from where the place of the work the manager is working and where the team is working. So the knowledge level of the superior also matters a lot when the span of control is given. So if the manager is very knowledgeable, then it would be easy for the manager to manage the team with respect to the kind of work, that the function that the manager is having. It could be design, it could be production, it could be operation, it could be development, it could be content, whatever it is, different departments that the manager has got. If the manager is knowledgeable, it would become easy for the manager to transfer the knowledge wherever it is required, whenever it is required. So the personality of the manager also matters a lot, and the attitude of the manager also matters a lot when the span of control is given to a manager. So the factors that are going to determine the effective span is that ability of the managers, level of the management, and the ability of the employees, type of the work that is under execution, well defined authority and the responsibility, and the geographic location, and the sophisticated information and the control system the team is handling. So let us understand in one sentence, like a span of control can be defined as span of control can be defined as in different ways. So when we think about the span of control, as we already know that the span of control is dependent on the several factors where the span of control of the manager is going to be executed. So the span of control can be defined as the wide control that the person is going to have, and the advantages of the limit span of control is that tight control and the close supervision of the works are possible, and then the personal attention can be given to every team member, and then the availability of the time to think and act would be more. And the advantages of the wider span of the control is that organization structure can be made simpler if the wider span of control is given. Minimum number of managers will be there, so there will not be any kind of So the span of control is also sometimes it is referred as span of management, span of supervision, span of authority, span of responsibility, and it indicates the number of subordinates who report directly to a manager. So determination of an appropriate span of management or span of control is very important for two reasons. One is that the limited span of control has certain advantages where the number of people are minimum, where the wide span of control is going to be very evident, where the manager is going to get time to make the appropriate decision towards the expansion and the growth of the company. So all in all, the span of control can be defined as the number of persons who directly report to an executive is called as the span of control. I repeat, the number of persons who directly report to an executive is called as a span of control. With So, staffing refers to the managerial function of employing and developing human resources for carrying out the various managerial and non managerial activities in an organization. We understood about the span of control of a manager. So, we can understand about the staffing, which is a very important function because without the human resources, it is not possible for us to run any kind of organization. So human resources are the best resources, and with the involvement of the human resources, it is always possible to make an organization very successful. For this, to make the organization successful, staffing is a very important function because we are going to attract the right talents to the right posts. So it involves the determination, and it always involves the finding out the right manpower for the right level of working. So the manpower, once the manager finds the right manpower for the post, they will be able to recruit, select, train and develop the people for various positions that are created in the organization. It can also be defined as staffing can also be defined as the process of attracting and developing human resources to work for an organization and to evaluate them to their work. So once we know that what is exactly staffing, we understood that the right amount of the human resources who are required to carry out the kind of work that the organization has got towards the market or towards the production, we will be able to understand that who is required to fill the which kind of position. So what are the steps that are involved in the staffing? We all know about the campus recruitments, we all know about the staffing of every employee in an organization. So the steps involved in the staffing are, the first step that is involved are the human resources planning, the recruitment of employees, the selection and placement of employees, training and development, decision on remuneration packages, performance appraisal, promotion and transfer, and HR department or the personnel department are directly responsible for the recruitment of people, and recruitment or they will be the in charge of staffing in any organization. Basically, staffing can be defined as it can be defined as a development oriented function, and staffing is always concerned with the management of human beings in an organization. So the steps involved in the staffing starts from the human resources planning, and then the recruitment of employees, right kind of employees for that post, and to recruit the people we must be knowing the selection, and then the placement process has to be done. After selecting and processing, after selecting and the placement is completed, training and development of the people have to happen, and then the human resources has to happen, and a decision on the remuneration packages has to be done. And once the decision on the remuneration packages is done, then the person, once he starts working in a particular post, then the performance appraisal has to be done on a year process, year on year, or depending on the organization structure. And after this, the promotion and the transfers according to the policies of the organization. So what are the nature and importance of staffing? when we see this image, we can understand that nature of staffing and staffing involves the different kind of exercises, that is training and development, performance appraisal, compensation and benefits that are to be given to the employees, and then the benefits of the strongest employment, and then it always benefits the people, and it always makes the people to work for the organization. So the employment relationships will also be built as a side benefit of in an organization. So the nature and importance of the staffing are the first nature and the first the importance of the staffing is it is a very significant function of the management, because when we see the right people in the right post, we will be definitely able to understand that the organization is going to get the contribution by the people who are working for that post. And the second most important nature or the importance is that the staffing is a continuous process, because we understand that there will be this can happen in two scenarios. One is that the company may be expanding its market, that so in order to meet the growing demand of the organization products, probably there will be the expansion, and then there will be increased production. Due to the increased production, the human resources requirement may grow. So it will be a continuous process in this. Or the other way around, like there could be people who will be leaving the job, and then they might be joining the other organization. In that scenario also, it will be a continuous process, because the organization has to hire new talents and the new people to that post. So the staffing involves people. It is always known that the staffing involves the human resources. It always involves people of different geographical region, and different kind of people would be there. And staffing always involves people, and it is always a risky job, and it is always a very very difficult job, because once once the people are admitted, there will be the training that is to be given to the people on the product that the organization is manufacturing, and there will be people who will be taking the different tasks, and the task, and then it is always it always revolves around 5 M's of the management. 5 M's of the management, as we have already learned, it is the money, the materials, the machines, and the methods that can be controlled objectively, and it is almost mechanically it is to be done, but it cannot be the human mind that can be controlled. So it is unpredictable to understand the human knowledge levels at the one point of time. So it always involves the people who will be motivated, who should be motivated in order to continue the working in an organization towards the growth. So staffing involves multidisciplinary knowledge. So organization will have different departments, and the staffing a person, that is the human resource department, should have the multidisciplinary knowledge. Because if at all an engineer is going to work in a HR department, and if the technical recruitment has to happen, that is with relevance to the company and then the product that the company has got. So an engineer who is going to work in a HR department must be able to understand different products whenever they move from one company to other company. So once we are in a position to recruit somebody, we must be able to understand, we must be able to have the in-depth knowledge of the product that the company is manufacturing, to find out the abilities of the person who would be recruited for that post. So staffing is a step-by-step process. So staffing has to be done in step-by-step process, and it has to be a meaningful process. It takes time, and it always involves the immense patience for the HR recruiter to see and to filter the people and to understand the people, and it requires immense patience for the people who are in the staffing department to understand the person's capabilities as well. And it involves the various steps in the staffing. They are going to be some of the steps which are involved in this are human resource planning, recruitment, selection, placement, training and development, remuneration, performance appraisal, promotion, transfer, retirement, and so on. So it deals with the maximum utilization of the human resources like direction given to the persons, coordination and the control. It is always concerned with the human resources of an organization. So these are the nature and importance of the staffing. Let's discuss about the importance of our advantages of the staffing in the next lecture video. Thank you everyone. See you in the next video. Thank you.